He stood nearly 7 feet tall, and the floor seemed to bend slightly under his weight. Nobody in that arena believed the small man in the front row would stand up. Nobody believed he would need to. This is the story of the day a giant challenged Bruce Lee in front of 1,000 witnesses, and the 8 seconds that followed. San Francisco Civic Auditorium, October 1971, Saturday evening. The auditorium smelled of varnished wood and cigarette smoke drifting up from the lower rows. It was an exhibition night, a benefit card put together by a local strength and fitness promoter to raise money for a youth athletics program. Strongman lifts, a wrestling showcase, a karate demonstration, and a closing exhibition match between 2 regional kickboxers. Nearly 1,000 people filled the seats, the kind of crowd that came for spectacle rather than technical nuance. Families, off-duty servicemen, gym regulars, a handful of local reporters working the human interest beat. Bruce Lee had not come to perform. He had come because a friend, a stunt coordinator who worked the strongman circuit, had invited him to watch, and because Bruce never turned down an evening that promised to show him a kind of strength he didn't train for. He sat in the 3rd row in a plain gray jacket, hands folded, watching the strongman portion of the card with the same total attention he gave everything. The deadlifts, the log presses, the slow, grinding lockouts that left grown men shaking on the platform. That was where Victor Sorensen first appeared. He came out for the final strongman event, the loaded carry, and the room changed shape around him the way rooms change shape around very large things. 6'8", 290 pounds, most of it built across a back and shoulders that seemed designed by someone unconcerned with proportion. He had spent 11 years on strongman circuits across 3 continents, undefeated in carry and press competition for the last 4. A Norwegian-American who had once pressed a 340-pound stone overhead in a competition, still talked about in strength circles. His hands alone looked capable of closing around a basketball and popping it. He finished his carry to a standing ovation, dropped the iron frame with a clang that echoed off the rafters, and turned to face the crowd, chest heaving, arms raised. He soaked it in the way men who have never lost soak in applause, like something owed to them rather than given. It was during the brief interval before the final exhibition match, while stagehands cleared the strongman equipment, that Victor noticed Bruce. Someone in the front rows had pointed him out. That's Bruce Lee, from the television, the Green Hornet fellow. And Victor, still flush with adrenaline and the crowd's attention, ambled toward the edge of the stage with the unhurried confidence of a man who had never needed to hurry toward anyone. "You're the kung fu actor," he said. His voice carried easily across the front rows, amplified by nothing but his own chest cavity. "I have heard of you. Small, fast hands. Very impressive on film." Bruce inclined his head slightly. "I've enjoyed watching you tonight. That carry was extraordinary." Victor smiled, and it was not an unkind smile, just an enormous one. "Thank you. But tell me something. All this, the kicks, the flips, the philosophy, does it work? Or is it only for the camera?" He raised his voice further, performing now for the rows behind him. "I have thrown grown men across a stage like sacks of grain. I would like to see what happens when kung fu meets something it cannot move." A ripple of laughter went through the crowd, not cruel, just delighted, the specific delight of an audience sensing an unscheduled show. The promoter, sensing both danger and opportunity in equal measure, hurried toward the stage with a microphone already in hand. Bruce considered the man towering above him. He had been asked this question, in one form or another, more times than he could count, and he had learned that the question itself was rarely the point. The point was what stood behind it, usually fear dressed as confidence, or curiosity dressed as challenge. He studied Victor's eyes for a moment and found, to his quiet interest, that it was neither. It was simple, honest disbelief. A man who had built his entire identity on the evidence of his own size, genuinely unable to imagine a frame in which that evidence might not be conclusive. "All right," Bruce said. His voice was even, almost gentle. "Show me." The crowd's laughter died into something sharper. The promoter, perhaps sensing a complete disaster or perhaps sensing the single best moment of his career, didn't hesitate. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced into the microphone, "it seems we have one more demonstration tonight." Nearly 1,000 people leaned forward at once. They cleared a space at the front of the stage. Victor stripped off his strongman singlet top and stood in loose training pants, arms loose at his sides, grinning at the crowd, at his own size, at the absurdity of what was about to happen. Bruce stepped out of his jacket and folded it once, set it on a chair with the same unhurried care he gave everything, and walked up the short steps in his street shoes. Side by side, the image was almost comic. Victor's hand, hanging loose at his hip, was nearly the size of Bruce's entire forearm. The top of Bruce's head reached somewhere below Victor's collarbone. Someone in the back row shouted something about David and Goliath, and the crowd laughed again. But the laughter had an edge to it now. The specific tension of people who suspect they are about to see someone get hurt and aren't sure which someone. The promoters set the terms quickly, the way men do when they sense a situation slipping past their authority to control it. Light demonstration only. No real strikes to the head. We're showing technique, not settling anything. Victor nodded, still grinning. Bruce nodded once, calm. They squared off. Victor dropped into a wide wrestler stance, arms spread, fingers curling slightly. The posture of a man who intends to simply close the distance and end things with weight and reach. Bruce stood with his feet shoulder-width apart, hands loose, weight centered, betraying nothing. For 3 full seconds, neither man moved. The auditorium held its breath the way large rooms do when something is about to happen that no one present has a name for yet. Then Victor came forward. He didn't rush. A man his size never needs to rush, but he closed the distance in 2 enormous strides, reaching with both arms to simply wrap Bruce up the way he'd wrapped up strongman opponents and sparring partners for over a decade, intending to lift, to demonstrate, to settle the matter through sheer enclosure. Bruce was not where the arms closed. He had stepped half a pace to his left and forward, inside the reach rather than away from it, the exact geometry that years of training had taught him to find instinctively, the place where size becomes a liability instead of an asset. Victor's arms swept through empty air and continued forward, his own momentum now working against him. In that fraction of a second, Bruce's hand rose and made contact, not a strike, barely more than firm pressure, against the inside of Victor's right elbow, redirecting the arm's momentum a few degrees further than it wanted to go. It cost Victor nothing in pain, but it cost him everything in balance. His weight, already committed forward, had nothing left to correct against. His front foot planted. Bruce's leg swept low and fast against the ankle of that same foot. Not a sweep meant to topple a smaller man, but timed precisely to the half-second when 290 pounds had no second leg ready to catch it. The giant went down. Not dramatically, not with flailing limbs. He was too experienced a competitor for that, his body already turning instinctively to take the fall safely. But down all the same, a controlled collapse onto one knee and a braced hand, the unmistakable sound of a very large man arriving at the floor faster than he had intended to. For 3 full seconds, the auditorium made no sound at all. 1,000 people, completely silent, watching a man who had just thrown 340-pound stones over his head kneeling on a stage in front of someone roughly half his weight, who had not thrown a single punch. Victor knelt there for a moment, breathing hard, staring at the boards beneath his palm. Then slowly he began to laugh. Not the performing laugh from earlier, but something lower and more genuine. The laugh of a man recalibrating something fundamental in real time. He rose to his feet. The auditorium erupted, not mockery, but something closer to disbelief turning into applause, the specific sound of an audience that has just watched its assumptions rearranged in real time. Bruce extended his hand. Victor looked at it for a moment, then took it, and the 2 men shook with the particular firmness of mutual respect rather than victory and defeat. "I have never been put on the floor like that," Victor said, still catching his breath. "Not once. Not by anyone." "You weren't beaten by strength," Bruce said quietly, his voice not carrying past the 2 of them now. "You were beaten by timing. Your size is real. It's not an illusion, and I would never pretend otherwise. But size only matters if your opponent stands where you expect him to stand. The moment you stop fighting the man in front of you and start fighting the man you assumed was there, you've already lost the fight that matters." Victor considered this, nodding slowly, the grin returning but changed now, smaller, more thoughtful. "Teach me that," he said. "Now's a joke. I mean it." "Come to the gym tomorrow," Bruce said. "Bring patience. You'll need more of it than you've ever needed muscle." The promoter, sensing the night could not possibly top itself, called the evening to a close. The crowd filed out, still talking, already reshaping the story into the version they would tell for years. Some swearing Victor had been knocked unconscious, others insisting Bruce had never touched him at all. The way every story like this grows in the retelling and loses none of its truth in the process. Victor did come to the gym the next morning, and the morning after that, trading the loaded bar for the wooden dummy, learning, slowly, with the particular humility of a strong man discovering an entirely different kind of strength, that the body's intelligence mattered more than its size, and that real mastery was never about how much weight a man could move, but about how precisely he could move it. He told the story for the rest of his career, always the same way, always ending with the same line. The night he learned that being the biggest man in the room only matters if the fight goes exactly the way the biggest man expects. It rarely does.